are going live. Sweet. Make sure everything is checking. Do our normal routine, guys. This is the 9 p.m. live on a Friday night. If you're just getting in, I'm going to give you a second to get in here. And if you are, leave some comments over in the chat to make sure the audio is good and the video is good, because I want to make sure that this is all right. All right. Looking pretty good. Everything looks okay on my end. You guys will just do me a favor and put some chats. First, not a bot. I hope you're not a bot. Can hardly hear me. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, let me fix that for you. What about now? Good evening. All right. Audio is low, no audio. Turn up volume. Okay, so give me 1 second on that, guys. I'm going to adjust the audio real quick. What about now? How does it sound now? Nice. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Good stuff. That's awesome. All right. I think we're good now. Okay, looks like everyone's saying it comes down pretty good now. Okay, sweet. Oh man, I know this is going to be a good live tonight if I'm seeing this many states showing up already. That's awesome. Good stuff, guys. All right. Hope everyone is having a great Friday night. We are diving in here in a minute so everybody get in here. And we will make this happen. We had a heck of a week this week. All right. Little better. Good go. Okay. Double check. I've still got the audio as good as I can. You know what? That might help a little bit as well. All right, we'll do one more audio check, see if it works for you guys. Just last one I'll do. I think it's working now. Better. Sweet. Oh, what do I have for you today? I got all the stuff today. We are going to do recaps. We are going to go crazy, guys. We had a week. I mean, like, honestly, we had a crazy week. Sound is good. Sounds good. Awesome. That's good stuff. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what. This week, this week and last week was off the chain, guys. First of all, I just appreciate you guys tuning in and keeping the information flowing to the right people. You guys are making a difference with everything you're doing, so keep it going because, last week was a situation. Yes, of course, you guys are doing better at this than I am. Make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream, send it out. Get as many people as we can, and we will make this happen. Hello, everybody. Any word on the New York 2A case? Not yet. Man, do I want to find out about that thing. Up to the max. All right, you know what, guys? I'll tell you what. I'm going to change around the mic because it's not coming through for everybody. Hold on 1 second. All right, that changed around. That should help you guys a little bit better. So I changed the mic. Tell me if that's working better. So I dropped that other mic out. Let me know if that mic's working. Better, John Jacobs, good. Turn up the volume. That's more gooder. I like that. Much better, much better. Damn, that's loud. Sorry, guys. I'm trying the new mic. It's hard on lives. Contact a representative senator. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. Okay, guys. I hear you. You guys hear me? That is awesome. Much, much better. Awesome. All right. We are going to dive into a few things tonight, guys. Per usual, we have everything like the stream, share the stream, do all the things that you need to do with the stream because we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Whew, man. Facebook, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, by the way, we're still waiting on everybody to get in here. I am activating a lot more on Facebook for sharing stuff out, Instagram, and Twitter, guys. Just saying, check that out. Twitter is at Braden LOA. Facebook is LangleyFirearmsAcademy.com or Langley Firearms Academy, and Instagram is Langley Outdoors. All right, we are at 5:15. Sweet, we are about to get going. Oh, guys, we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. Woo, we got to talk a lot of stuff. So we did this week alone. We started covering the federal stuff. We started covering the state level stuff. I mean, honestly, the state level, I can't. I didn't even have enough bandwidth to do all of that. But yeah, state level is another a whole thing. You got Delaware, you got New York, you've got lots of places that are doing some stuff where I'm like, holy crap. I think Canada. Sorry, Canada. Sorry, Ruin. Apparently, Twitter is all the bots. Indiana, man, we've got all some amazing people. Florida Sheep or FL Sheepdog won. There are only two parties now: Patriots or Traitors. U.S. Grant. Mo Theory. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. That's right. All right, we are cruising here, cruising here. All right, so here's kind of the layout, guys. What we're doing on this live stream. I'm trying to do these every single Friday for you guys, so we get a little bit different dynamic going on. But there's lots of stuff that we need to cover. We need to do recaps what we covered this week. We need to give you updates on the bills that are going through at the House level versus the Senate level. There is so much stuff we got to talk about, but I want to keep this as Q&A as I can. So if you have something you guys want to talk about in that realm, by all means, put it in the chat, and I'm going to try to pick them out the best I can. It's not incredibly easy to deliver these and also watch the chat, but I'm going to try to. So let's just start off simple. What did you guys think about this week? I hope I brought it to you the best I could. I mean, I brought it to you the best I could. I hope it landed. But man, there was so much stuff this week between the House bills, the Senate bills, the negotiations, the rumors. Oh, goodness gracious. Thank you for all you do. Hey, thank you guys. It wouldn't be anything without you guys. And Muscle, this week was something. The New York State gun laws. Now, I'll touch on that really quickly. So the New York State gun laws, there'll be a lot more videos coming up as soon as I can get to them. But I'll be honest with you, the federal stuff right now is so pressing that I'm trying to balance it. But the New York State, between microstamping, banning body armor, a lot of not great stuff there. But anyway, so that's what's going on in the New York thing. There's obviously some things that are going down in Delaware. I mean, I was talking with Jared over Guns and Gadgets, and we're trying our best. We're trying our best to get everything balanced, but it's difficult to get everything out and kind of focus on the right stuff, which is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. One of the things that I try to do, the hardest thing that I try to focus on is not giving you guys things to just amp you up and get focused on something that's not going to really go anywhere. I try my best to kind of zero in and focus on the areas we can actually impact that are actually going to have an impact. Hopefully you guys see that in the videos and that comes through, but a lot of the things that came through in the House this week didn't really do much, honestly. Then we're going to talk about that more. Renegade Jr. So when's the next major gun rights protest? I'll be honest with you. So that's an interesting point. The gun rights protest, a lot of people will say they want to go out and actually be at a protest, or they want to do something very large and big. I'll be honest with you. The incremental things that you guys do on a day in, day out basis, whether it be Facebook posts, talking to people, taking them to the range, watching videos, sharing videos, that type of stuff, that is incredibly impactful. Like right now, the Republican senators are really bouncing back and forth, of what they're going to do. And that's a crucial part of that. But that's a very good thing to do. I like that you guys are ready. Kevin Barnes, no, you rock. All right. So I agree with that, Bumblebee Bob. The House is like monkeys throwing poop at a wall to see what sticks. And that's actually a really good segue for what we're going to talk about tonight. One of the things that is a really big, huge deal that I've seen across the board this week is the House put forward as much stuff as they possibly could. It was literally like, we're in trouble and we're not going to have good polling, so we need to put some bills forward so we can go back home and say, hey, we did this, but those darn Republicans, right? And what's up, Thanos? And so the big thing that they're doing here with these House bills, and this is really important, the House bills are not going to get past the Senate filibuster. Everything is stopping at that Senate. So a lot of the things that people are really worried about, like are really concerned about, I'm seeing it in my comments, I'm getting some emails from some people, the things like AR bans, the things like national red flag laws that are federally enforced, those things are not like breaking down a pistol and reassembling it. Those things are not going to go through the Senate as it stands, which is why I mention them, but I don't focus them as a point of focus for all of us because it's something that it's already DOA, if that makes sense. And then I try to focus on the Senate stuff, which actually has the ability to impact us. I agree. We do need to watch McConnell. But the thing is, McConnell, I get the distinct impression that he's playing politics. I'm not saying that he is a rhino. I'm not saying he's not a rhino. I'm not saying anything. I'm not casting judgment on it, but I get the distinct impression that there's a lot more going on than what we're being allowed to see. And what's really interesting about it is I did an article, I've seen some articles in my research where even the Democrats and the leftists at the Politico are saying something's weird. They're not talking like they normally talk. They're not talking about Republicans. They're not saying what they normally say. And from that point, they're actually right. It's different. It's almost like everyone is not saying anything because they're getting close to election time. So they're just waiting on this group of people who are negotiating to see what they're going to do, and then they'll start talking. So it is a very interesting time to watch. But hey, that's what we cover on this channel. That's why you guys tune in. Hopefully, let me see what I've missed over here. Lindsey Graham. So now you guys brought up Lindsey Graham. That's an interesting one. So Lindsey Graham earlier on this week, he came out and said he was really hot and heavy about voting on the bills as they stood when Biden made his announcement in gun control with candles and stuff behind him, which was not weird at all. He came out and he's like, well, let's go ahead and vote. And so people took that as, oh, he's gone full on Democrat where he's going to vote for all these things that Biden talked about. But some other people took it as, well, he's going to fight and say, hey, go ahead, put it up there. I'm going to shoot it down. So a lot of stuff. And, I don't really know what's going to happen. Ooh, TJ Sharkey and Castle. Let's see here. So we need to pass a law that makes it so whenever they lie to the people and are manipulative, they are forced to pay a huge fine like a swear jar and then push it back. TJ Sharkey, amazing idea. You guys, if you guys agree, drop that over there in the comments. That's phenomenal. Longtime fan from Connecticut. Yeah, Murphy isn't popular here either. Well, I appreciate that, Castle. So Murphy, that's another one that's very fascinating. So Chris Murphy, as you guys know on my channel, I dive into like all the little nuance, the things that they say, the words that they say, and how they go into approaching a topic. Murphy is signaling a lot of things that he does not normally signal. And I'm talking specifically about the Senate right now. So when Murphy comes around and typically when he talks, he's going into the full on gun control, the common sense, mom's demand action, every time for USA. That's what we need to do. That's Murphy 101. It's very similar to Blumenthal. But Murphy is behaving like these negotiations are already dead in the water. They're already DOA. So I mean, I'm not saying that they are because there's still a lot to maintain and watch. But he's acting like, hey, Dems, don't get too excited because I don't know what's going to happen. Hey, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And when you start hearing those types of things, that's a little bit different. Usually it's definitely from a different perspective. Oh man, Marlo, you are setting me up. What do you think of Joy Behar's idiotic statement on The View? You should watch the channel tomorrow and you will find that out. It probably is because the midterms are so close. That's a very good point. Man, but have I ever considered running for office? I have. I'm not going to rule it out. Maybe one day when I grow up. But it's not something I'm ruling out. It's not something I'm jumping into right now because honestly, I believe that we, like you guys and myself working together, along with Jared, along with all of us in the same movement, can make more of an impact out here on the outside than we can on the inside. I'm just saying that's my own personal opinion, but at this point. But let's dive into this because we watch every day. That's right, John. I love that. All right. So, what I want to talk about really quickly, yeah, Dorzak, yeah, Joy Behar, that was not a good move. That was not very a nice statement. All right, so what we're going to jump into right now is I'm just going to kind of float this out there. You guys can leave comments over here to the right. But you guys saw the videos that I put out where we talked about the House omnibus bills, right? Where they had 8 bills and they basically tried to do everything possible. I'm pretty sure you guys were watching those videos. I know Jared covered them a lot. But the big thing that they did there was, honestly, like I've seen a lot of fundraising opportunities come out of that. I've seen a lot of negotiations for election time, a lot of those things, but I haven't seen much else. And to be honest, on the right side, you've got other things. Like you've got Jim Jordan, you've got Chip Roy, you've got all these other Republican House members who are also doing sound bites for their own elections. I agree, Midnight. I don't think that they are. Mike Liness, wonder how people would feel if the government started regulating cars like they do guns. Tires of the comparison with license and insurance. It's not the same. Piece from Occupied Illinois. Oh, Illinois, that's a tough one. I'm sorry about that. So that's actually a very good point that Mike brings up, and then I'll go back to the house thing. So one of the things that they talk about consistently is comparing gun rights to having a car, and flat out, it's not. You're talking about apples to oranges, just straight up. So it's one of those things when you hear someone comparing a gun right or your Second Amendment rights to cars, you're winning. Get ready because you're about to deliver the death blow. Oh, right. Renegade Jr. wins the Second Amendment protest. We need our voices heard. Our governor sucks, and the View doesn't know what they're talking about. The View doesn't know what they're talking about. You are correct, Renegade. The View is, ooh, it is, that is next level stuff. But I will cover more of that at a different time for sure. This November, I think it's going to be an incredible time. Just so you guys are on the same same page as I am, because you got to get out there and vote. That is so crucial. And all right, so let's go back to the House bill, the 8 bills. Yeah. So which one of those over in the comments field? I'm just curious. Which one was the most threatening to you guys? Because there were 8 of them, right? And one of them was particularly very interesting. A lot of them were just a waste of time, but I was very curious about one of them. I'm curious what you think. I heard Cornyn may negotiate to pass red flag laws in the Senate. What do y'all think? All right, so here's the. I'm going to get to that a lot more in depth in a second, but give me 1 second on that, and then I'll come back to that for sure. All right, so Jamie Thompson says mag ban, red flag, mag ban, red flag laws. Okay. Red flag laws, most things. Okay, so it seems like red flag laws was the big one. So the interesting thing, thank you, David. The interesting thing about red flag laws in the House, this is specifically in the House, this is not in the Senate, all right? So in the House, they passed a federal red flag law that would go on to the Senate, which is not going to be picked up. Keep in mind, the Senate is the one that they hold all the cards. They have the filibuster in place, they have the negotiations going on. Even Chris Murphy said in a Politico article, or The Hill, I cannot remember which one, I think it was Politico, he said those are not going to happen. He even said they were well intentioned and they were emotional, but they weren't going to happen. That's Chris Murphy's words. Now, the thing about the red flag laws in the House, when they passed that, because Lucy McBath was involved in that one, because she's Miss Mom Demand Action, really hope she loses in the primary. I'm not sure if she did or not. I don't think she, whatever, I'll find out in a second. But my point is, if you're talking about red flag laws in the House at a federal level, that's different than what they're negotiating right now in the Senate. So the red flag laws opening up from federal, you're talking about a federal judge issuing federal rulings talking about red flags and confiscation. When you're talking about the Senate negotiations, where they're leaning towards, or at least what has been leaked, they're leaning towards funding for every state at a state level. So that's the big difference there. Now, again, the red flag law that they're negotiating in the Senate is having trouble even getting close to a handshake, but that's important because the other ones in the House are even worse, so they're not going to get forward either. Could you imagine having to go through the same crap to get a car muffler as a suppressor? Basically the same thing minus a $200 extortion stamp. That's an interesting perspective. I haven't thought about that. That is a very interesting look on that. That's funny. All right, so someone just said something very interesting over here. So FL Sheepdog 1, funding is a bribe. Okay, so that's something that Jared over at Guns and Gadgets and I have talked about a lot as well. So when you're setting up funding for state level activities, it's kind of a nod to, hey, the states can make decisions. So that's where you get the Republican buy-in, or at least the libertarian to conservative version of, hey, states good, federal bad. But to that point, when you have federal money tied into something that's an initiative, it's not too hard to say, well, hey, we can get $8 billion if we just pass this law. Well, now you're getting into a point where something you wouldn't have done before, you're now doing because of funding. A good example would be education, right? They did this routinely with education over the last, I can't remember the exact time frame, but recently when they were talking about all the different things, like you've got to do this curriculum, you can't do this curriculum, and if you don't do it, you're not going to get educational funding. It's kind of the same thing. So that's what you're talking about there from a perspective. All right, so I touched on a few things there. Red flag flying over the White House after GOP wins everything in November. I don't know if it's going to fly over the White House, but it's definitely going to be over the House and the Senate. Yes, you are correct, Dorzak. They did do that for raising the drinking age from 18 to 21. They tied it to federal highway funds. That is a very correct assessment. Now, Jimmy just put in a very interesting point as well in the chat. So when you're talking about yellow flag laws, that's a very important distinction. Yellow flag laws are the exact same thing as red flag laws, except only law enforcement can do it. Red flag laws, family members, church clergy, teachers, it's different levels in different states, which is one of the reasons we rail against it, because there's not a consensus across the board. I do not have a pistol brace rules update, not at all. Longtime viewer, thank you for your hard work. God bless America. Amen, and thank you, John. I appreciate that. New Hampshire, love it. All right, let's just keep it on. All right, so how about a green flag law? Oh man, that's funny. All right, so now I want to touch on something else that's really important that we need to jump into. I already hit the red flag laws, House and Senate, which was excellent, good lead in. Gun control in the Senate. So this is what I want to talk about, some of the updates, right? So where they're going right now, and again, if you have any questions or comments about this in the chat, just hit it and I'll try to catch it. So where they're at right now in the Senate, this is a complete negotiation at this point. This is a very high level conversation, negotiation around red flag laws and how far they go. That's it. You've got the increase of a NICS background check from minors into adulthood. That's one thing they got in there. And then they're talking about the red flag laws, and then they're talking about securing schools and mental health. So those things, that's going to happen. Now, Greg just put up a very good point. Do you think there should be a penalty for a false claim someone makes involving red flag laws? Yes. If you have a situation where you actually under a red flag law in your state, and someone does a false claim on you, yes, in my opinion, there should be a penalty on that, because if the state's done a red flag law, that's a different conversation. But you have to live with it because you're in their state. Repeal it, make moves on it. But if someone does a false claim, like an ex of any kind, boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't care, you need to be able to do that. Like that there should be a penalty. There can't just be a carte blanche, go at it and that was gone through 6 months, because that's a tremendous injustice. TJ Sharkey, maybe we should educate the Democrats on exactly the history of the evil thing they came to fight against and how they are following Mustache Man from Germany in the 30s. There are a lot of similarities. That is a very, very astute observation, TJ. What was I just? Oh yeah, so the House. So excuse me, the Senate. So where we're going to hit now, that's the negotiation they've been doing in the Senate level. Okay, and that's still on the rocks. It's not 100%. Where you've got Schumer, and this is an important piece, is Schumer scheduled votes on HR8 and HR1446. And that's incredibly important because he's trying to pressure the negotiations. It's not going to work because the Republicans hold all the cards. They're in the driver's seat. So HR8 and HR1446, if you guys remember, those are the background checks that would make it basically impossible to transfer anything from person to person. It's a universal background check system. And again, it completely goes away, right? So it's been stalled for about 15 months now, 12 months now, I believe. Oh, hold on a second, guys. I am seeing someone said that there's no sound. I just want to make sure the sound is coming through. So leave in the chat if the sound's going good. I don't want to make sure it's not broken. But yeah, so no sound. Okay, so I got a couple with no sound. Sound good here. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, it sounds like it's just one person. So just restart that app. Come on back. Sounds good. Sweet. Thank you, guys. So HR8 and 1446 are stifled. They're just sitting there, not really doing anything. The reason that this is important, and this is really factored in, and I love doing these lives because I can dive into this a little bit deeper. HR8 and 1446 go further than the negotiations they're talking about right now, and that's incredibly important because the negotiations they're talking about now, they're actually stuck on background checks. They're stuck on red flag laws. They're not going to put something forward or vote to pass the filibuster, HR8 or 1446, if they're stuck on lesser deals, if that makes sense. And that's incredibly important. In fact, the newest talks, until recently, they had Manchin Toomey, right? Manchin Toomey is something where they basically said, hey, we're going to do any commercial sale has a background check. And it was considered and viewed as gun control light. Like it was like, let's just get anything passed. That's what it was considered for the last like 8 years. And Manchin and Toomey are both on these conversations and negotiations, right? This talks that they're doing right now, they're actually less than Manchin and Toomey. I mean, that's where we're at right now. So it's very low level because the Democrats are not in a great place in a lot of different ways. So that's very important because if you're looking at everything they're doing, everything they're signaling, you got Murphy doing what he's doing with signaling defeat. Schumer comes out and says, "I don't want to schedule any tough votes because it's too hard." Swing votes and swing districts and tough elections. I mean, it's very telling if you look at all of the nonverbals that they're saying here. So that is gun control in the Senate, kind of where we're at right there from that perspective. But what do you guys think about that? Like, do you guys approve? Like, do you agree? Approve? Like, are you on the same page? You see what I'm seeing, or am I kind of like making that up? Because a lot of the things that I make my own analysis on, I love to hear if you guys agree or not. And while you guys type, I'm going to get a beverage. Um, I would love to jump on Joe Rogan's podcast. That'd be the coolest thing ever. Totally agree. Awesome. Thank you, Alaskan Sourdough. The best place or best people to donate to, that depends what you're chasing, right? So you've got a lot of different things you can do. If you want to get on more of the aggressive lawsuits, you can get FPC. If you want to do more of the activism, you can go GOA. If you want to go more traditional and kind of old school, you can do NRA. You can do, again, not endorsing any of these, I'm just saying what you can do. If you're more aligned to the female side of activism, you can do DC Project. There's a lot of things you can do. All right, let me catch up over here. I'd like to see a monetary fine to the accused of proven false and possibly a small prison sentence. Okay. Tinker, wow, thank you so much. All right, so Tinker says, do you agree with raising the age of 18 to 21? And lastly, what about people who go to addictive disease centers? Sorry, it's bouncing. That some states label as mental health programs. Is this considered red flag issues? Now I'm going to do both of those things here. So the mental health programs, that completely depends on how they phrase this, right? This all comes down to what they write in this proposal, if they can even get a proposal out. Because the way that these people write these things, sometimes it's a nuance of, hey, at this state level, they can do it. Like, for example, if they did a federal bill and said, hey, here's the funding for red flag laws, no red flag laws required, nothing federal, just the funding, then it's up to the state to determine what is or is not a mental facility. If they do a federal ban, or excuse me, a federal red flag law like the House just passed, well, then you're in a scenario where you've got a one size fits all definition. So it completely depends on what they come up with. Not trying to skirt the answer, but there's not really a way I can answer that second part right then. Excuse me. Do I agree with raising the age of 18 to 21? So here's my honest take on that. If you are 18 and you can go to the military and you can vote on things that are completely adult related, like who's going to run your country, should this tax be spent to build this highway? If you are going to be considered an adult in every other way, shape, and form, why would you not be able to have your Second Amendment rights that are granted to every single adult? That's my own personal belief. Now, here's my caveat to that. If people are going to say, like, for example, say the Democrat got a bill and it said, hey, we raise it from 18 to 21 to buy everything. Okay. Well, if you're going to raise the limits on 18 to 21 for everything, then you're going to raise the limits on voting. You're going to raise the limits on army or military. You're going to raise the limits on everything. If 21 is now the new legal age to be an adult, well, congratulations. On your 21st birthday, you become an adult. They will never do that in a million years because why? Because their voting demographics are 18 to 21. It's a very big chunk. They'll never do that. So that's one of the reasons. That's my thoughts anyway. Hope that answers your question. All right, for a young, wait, hold on. I just got called a youngster. Yeah, Flourish, 18 to 21 is three-fourths our military. You are 100% correct. That's why I'm not saying that. I'm not advocating for that. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense for them to do it. That's what I was trying to go with. For a youngster, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. The 70-year-old disabled vet listens to you in the morning and the evening along with Jared, so y'all keep it up. Well, thank you very much, James and Joe. I appreciate that. All right. Trying to catch up on everything. Yeah, so how do you prove a false claim? See, it seems like you guys are really focused on the red flag laws as well. That's very true. All right, let's see. I see Jared in here, and I gotta see that. Have you watched Guns and Gadgets video where he said he can no longer break down our weapons and put them back together and makes it a ghost gun? Okay, so that was the video he put up tonight. I did watch that video. So Reese, here's the thing with that. He did that video from a perspective of focusing on the bill itself, the way it's written, and what it could imply and what it can mean. And in that video, he even said there's a 99.9% chance that it's not going to pass. And for Jared, that's a very big percentage, right? That's the exact same thing that I'm talking about earlier on when we did the eight gun control bills that passed the House. All of them were considered in an omnibus package, and they weren't going to pass. Even Chris Murphy, like I said earlier in the stream, Chris Murphy was even saying that they weren't going to pass, like it was pointless. So from that perspective, yes, I saw that video, and I think it's crap the way they wrote it, but I think it's something that we don't need to worry about focusing on that it's going to happen immediately because of that point of this. It's not going to pass the filibuster. It's interesting because a lot of times you can spend a lot of time getting really upset about the fact that they would dare infringe the rights, which they're going to do anyway because they've said they're going to do it. But you can also focus on the ones that are actually going to be able to do anything, which is what I try to do. Because I don't want I don't want you guys to get really amped up about every single little one because that's really exhausting. I'll be honest. All right, so it looks like we got a nice little. Hold on a second. Someone see my name. Personal opinion: yellow flag laws are a bigger threat. Just think about all the spying that they've been doing on us for the past 50 years. I can see that. Mike, we should be able to vote on bills before they are brought to a final vote in Congress. That way, we the people have a real voice. That would be an interesting perspective. I'll be honest with you. I don't know the logistics of that, but it would be fascinating to see something like that. Hey, keep up the good fight, brother. Have a couple of cold ones on me. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I might just, but with inflation these days, I might have one cold one or like half a cold one. Hashtag Biden. Good job. Oh man. Oh, by the way, did you guys see that video that I did around the polling if what was the most important, inflation versus gun control? Inflation doubles it. Just saying. So I'm actually going to do a video coming up on this weekend, which is very focused directly on that, basically highlighting all the different polling and all the different ways that the GOP needs to stay the course and not do anything stupid. Um, because legitimately, they've got a 9 point lead during all this gun control and all this energy and all this momentum. They dropped down to an 8 point lead on the generic ballot. They're back up to a 9 point lead. I'm telling you guys, like, this is going to be a thing. Do I think that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to rule favorably on the New York case? I do think that. I think that is 100% going to be a positive ruling. My big question, I don't know which, I don't know which justice is going to write it and how deep they go because that's the really important piece. Like how nuanced is that opinion? If it's very broad and it leaves a lot of interpretation, that's annoying. It's good, but it's annoying. If it's very specific, oh, I love it. We will be doing videos on all the different laws they have to rewrite. Andrew Kincaid, off topic, but AR or AK? AR. Faux show. If I had to choose. If I had to choose. All right, so let's keep going. Just all right, so let's jump into here. I wanted to do one more thing. Right now, the chat or this live stream is about 34 minutes, which is awesome. So I'm hoping Thomas writes it as well, Octavian. If Thomas writes it, that'll be amazing. Sharky, shall we have one of our friendly seniors read the Constitution on the floor and put Dems in the hot seat and ask that they violate their oath? So here's the thing with that. Democrats are so good at avoiding that conversation. Well, I don't really like to think about the oath. I like to more think about the feelings and the people who are what's that? Dang it, what's that word they always use? I'll remember in a second. But they'll focus it more to the impacted and the more downtrodden society. How do they feel? How does this impact everyone? What about their rights? That's what they always do. All right, so let's jump into this last thing because, like I said, we're at 35 minutes. I try to keep these around 40 to 45 minutes. Let's jump into this last one. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to walk over. Oh, Sergeant D. Sparky, no matter what Congress pushes, any law repugnant to the Constitution shall be void. Well, and so you just brought up a very interesting point, Sparky, and then I'll get to my last thing. So one of the things that happens a lot on the gun rights side, on the Second Amendment side, which is just the nature of the beast, people will get very upset that they would put forward bills that would infringe upon the Second Amendment. But the entire point and structure of our Constitution puts those checks and balances in place to where even if one branch goes nuts, the other branches put them in check. Which is why they are freaking out so hard about the SCOTUS being fully conservative, because, well, not fully, but heavily conservative, because that undermines their entire plan. If they have no check on their power from the Supreme Court, they can do whatever they want. The New York Supreme case is a perfect example. So that's one of the things I'm really optimistic about, because we have the ability to do this. We just have to keep on trucking, and we have to keep our heads cool, calm, collected, and make it happen. We need another George Washington. Oodle doodle. I think that the George Washington is already here. It's just a matter of time. I don't think it's something that will never happen. I think it's just going to look a little bit different. A little different haircut, a little less wood teeth, the stitch. All right. So I'm going to lay this out for you guys really quickly, and I want to kind of show you how I look at this from the gun control perspective, only in the Senate, right, on this gun control push. All right. So first of all, right off the bat, you guys remember when this first happened and Schumer came out and said, hey, this is something that we need to vote on. We want a bill immediately. We want to get rid of these things. And I'll get to that in 1 second, Hawkeye. And they came out and said, but we don't want to do too many votes that would endanger our swing voters and our districts that are really close and our vulnerable members. So let's just keep it easy. It went very quickly from common sense gun reform for the safety of everyone into, well, let's preserve our power. The House of Representatives did the exact same thing. They passed a lot of things because they knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. They were just throwing stuff at a wall to see what would stick. Negotiations quickly after that start with 9 people, mostly in the middle from each side. So that's like the mansions, that's the cinemas, that's all of it. You've got all of those, the Lindsey Grahams, John Cornyn's, the ones who dance between both sides, right? That started happening. Nothing is included from the dim wish list except red flag laws. And that's where it got really interesting. So when they got to red flag laws, everything became very slowed down. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it essentially went from full speed negotiation, making progress, having great talks, and so encouraged, to nothing. And that's where it is right now. Right now, it's currently nothing. So it's a very interesting piece of an observation. At this point, Murphy starts to set expectations very low for the Democratic success. So, for example, hey guys, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. He's talking to his progressive wing of his party. They will completely abandon him on that. Cornyn says nothing will be included that infringes legal gun owners of the Second Amendment rights. And at that moment, even Jared put out a video that said they think they have 60. I did one. They said, hey, rumor is they have 60. And they're still going on 3 days later. So what I'm honestly thinking is right now they are in the middle of conversations around red flag laws. And where it gets really interesting is if they don't get the red flag laws, the Democrats aren't going to vote for it. If it's too watered down, the Republicans will. If it's too strong, the Republicans won't filibuster and Democrats will. So they're in this caught game of, I personally think the Democrats are on the losing end of this versus the Republicans. That's kind of where we've been so far, kind of a high level. All right, I owe a conversation to Hawkeyes. Red flag their own security, fight fire with fire. That's funny. Yeah, that is always one of the best things when they're protected by guns, but we can't be. 100% correct. All right, so that is, will it pass any of it in the Senate? Harvey, that completely depends on if they can make these negotiations. I personally, this is not something that I'm saying will happen, a guarantee. My own personal opinion on this is if they get a bill to be voted on, and I don't know if it'll pass or not, if they get a bill to be voted on, it will require, or it will include school safety, which is school hardening. It will include mental health, and then it will include red flag laws with funding options for states, not federal. That's if they get it. I honestly don't know if they're going to, though, because this close to the midterms, with you guys putting as much pressure as you are on the phone calls, it's making a big difference. So we'll see. It looks like they are really getting to an impasse, though, pretty quickly, because they've been doing this for 2 weeks, and that's a long time in politic land in Washington. And yeah, someone said all the amendments that it would infringe. Yeah, 1, 2, 4, 5, 9 at least. I mean, I know for a couple of those 100%. 1, 2, 4, 100%. Yeah, Rhode Island did just pass some. Like I said earlier on, you got Rhode Island, you got Delaware, and you've got New York that are the most recent. New York, even Mayor Adams put forward a gun czar. That was interesting. I couldn't get a video out on it because I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but I thought that was fascinating. If it passes the Senate and gets signed by the president, is outright defiance the only thing that we can do? No, the thing that you can do is put the Republicans in power again enough in the point of House and Senate to where they can override the veto with 2/3. That's what you can do. But honestly, I don't 100% know if it's going to get there. Yes, and so, oh, sorry, it moved. Call your reps, call your senators, 100%, absolutely. Andrew Kincaid, thanks for all you do. Keep us up to date. Cheers from Oklahoma. Have some beer and/or ammo on me. I appreciate that. And like I made the joke earlier, I love it. I'm gonna get like inflation one. Inflation's gonna be one of those. All right. So looks like we are in a good place here. So what I always do now, guys, that's kind of like the stuff that I had down for a presentation. From a perspective of you guys, I leave this up to you guys for a minute to keep the chat going for you guys. A lot of you are going back and forth. I'll jump in here, but if you guys want me to talk about anything from a standpoint of what happened this week with the bills, with the House, with the Senate, I'll dive into that the best I can. But throw it over there in the chat. I'll leave it up for the next 5, 6 minutes. Maybe I'll cut it at 50. I don't know. But watch me every day. Hey, I appreciate that, SBC. That's awesome. What's the deal with large capacity mag ban? Now that's an interesting one because yes, Washington State did just pass it, but if you guys were watching on this channel, that was so flawed. It made no sense at all. Like you could go out of the state with them and bring back other ones. It was just very weird. Do I think that the mag ban is going to fly? Not at all. Not at all. I don't think it's even going to get brought up on the floor. Okay, so that's actually a good point, John Jacobs. 1,000% tax on ARs. I did a video on this one. I'm going to touch on it. If you want to watch more in depth, the video is in the last week. But 1,000% tax on ARs is something that came out from a Democratic rep in Virginia. And the reason that this is important is because it was a big splash. That was the big thing. News media covered it. YouTubers covered it. It was all the rage for about 24 hours. The big thing is if they're putting 1,000% tax on ARs, that means that bill has to get through the Senate as well. It's not going to get through the Senate. Now, what they say, and this is the concerning part, they say because it's a tax, it's going to go through a process called reconciliation. Well, reconciliation is the exact same thing that they passed in the Senate with healthcare, Obamacare. The only problem is in the Reconciliation Act, you have to go through anything that's budget related. So when you do budget related, you can do something called the Byrd Rule. The Byrd Rule is in the Senate. It's the reason that they don't do this. The Byrd Rule literally has a Republican senator or Democratic senator. One senator raises an objection and says, this bill has nothing to do with budget. You have to override that objection with 60 senators. You're back at the filibuster. There's someone in the Senate called the parliamentarian. The parliamentarian enforces all the rules. In fact, they even tried to do this with the Build Back Better infrastructure package, and it didn't work with immigration because the Democrats tried 3 separate times to get it through immigration through into the Build Back Better plan, and the parliamentarian was like, "This is extending rights to people. This is not budgetary," which is the exact same thing that would happen with 1,000% tax on AR. So that is that. I don't think the 1,000% tax is gonna go anywhere. Let's see. Term limits, okay. Yeah, okay, so that's an interesting point. Slick49 just brought up guns and ammo flying off the shelf again. Yeah, so the that's really funny, John Tarsa. That's really funny. Guns and ammo flying off the shelves. I would not be surprised if another run did happen. I wouldn't put that past what's going on. Worm Nerd, love the work you do. By the way, 100% respect from Texas. Thank you. Hey, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Like we could not do these things and have the impact without you guys. This is incredible. I really appreciate you guys. It's huge. Do you think it will not pass in the Senate? Let me put this kind of as couch as best I can. The House bills will not pass in the Senate. I don't believe they'll even be brought up for a vote. The Senate negotiation, it's going to be close if they come on a deal, but I don't know. In that one, I'm being very cautious. I will keep you guys up to date, so make sure you are subscribed for that update information. But that one is going to be different, and I'll know as soon as I can. Florida sheepdog, 9 mil is dangerous. Switching to 454 Kasul. That's true. That's true. I heard someone in a very high level position go to 9 millimeters. Say it like sucks your lungs out or something. Oh man. David Andrews. So this is a very important part as well. What David just said. Don't trust the Senate. Yeah, it's not really trusting the Senate. It's more so trusting self preservation. That's more so what I trust. I don't trust the individuals. I trust their need, which is in every human, for self preservation. Anyway, that's my thing. Chrome Dove, awesome. Pennsylvania sub. Pennsylvania's got a big thing with Mastriano coming up. You guys take that governor seat, you're talking about constitutional carry like first year. That'll be crazy. Chester, thanks for your hard work. Watch your videos every day. I appreciate that. Tireless efforts to inform us. Hey, thank you guys for watching. You guys are incredible. All right, just catching up on all of these. This midterms. Okay, so Mr. King Arthur just said something important. Midterms, they are all frightened. I'm going to start doing some videos and showing you how, like, what's making them so frightened. And they are terrified because they are 9 points down in the generic ballot. They are 120 days out from the elections. They've got Biden, who is running at like 33% approval rating. Inflation is through the roof. Everything is bad. It's all bad. Russia's going ham sandwich. Our pets' heads are falling off. It's not good. It's not a good look. All right, let's see here. Never give in. We do. That is our government. That's true. Um, keep calling and emailing. Yes, Sergeant Love, absolutely. We need to keep calling and emailing all week long. We absolutely do. Once this goes away, then we can take a nap. But until then, nope. All right. I'm just catching up on all the chats. We got about 3 minutes until I'll cut it down, but my potato can, those things. Oh, memories from my youth. I'm with you, brother. Heck yeah. When will someone take red flag laws to the Supreme Court? I think that that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Because what's happening, and this is a very interesting thing, and I'll kind of wrap with this. This will be one of my like wrapped up points here. What the left will do is they will push and push and push and hope that something will stick. They'll do it in California, they'll do it in Illinois, they'll do it in New York, the Northeast. And what they do is they say, hey, this is perfectly constitutional, and since it hasn't been struck down, we got our way. And they try to continually do that. It's their testing grounds. So when that occurs, and the Supreme Court takes a long time, like they did with the New York case that's going on, you get all these infringements that become laws, like egregious infringements, like New York's permitting system. Then you have the Supreme Court take them up, and everyone starts freaking out because that's now in Chicago, New York, California. Every left-leaning Democratic state has those same laws and the same rules because it's a hive mind. And when they rip that out by the root, they're going to have to rewrite their entire gun laws, and that's going to be fun to watch. I'm more excited about that than the than the initial reaction. But anyway, that's just something that I've noticed over following this. Mo Theory. Okay, no, I'm going to talk about Mo Theory here. No thoughts on body armor, bro. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get you here. So, body armor is an interesting one because it's a defensive posture, right? In Canada, they're talking about banning it completely, of course. New York, they've just banned it. So, the interesting thing about the body armor piece, that almost seems like an afterthought, right? Because it's kind of like, what else can we throw in here that we don't like? There's not really any argument that has ever been put forward. And honestly, there's not an argument that's been resisting it. It's kind of one of those things where they're like, you know what? Since I've got my pen and since I have the New York legislature at my whim, I'm just going to go ahead and throw body armor in there. That's my personal thoughts because there's not a huge push for it, but it still happened. The November elections, free and fair, things will change if they do that and the Dems in control. What do you think? So here's my thought on that, Eric. This is an interesting piece. If that were truly going to be the outcome and that were the case, why would they be freaking out? I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I'm staying very neutral on that. But legitimately, if they were to come up and have this entire elaborate situation planned out, why would they be worried about everything going on right now? Why would you see them freaking out? Because they are across the board. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Um, Biden's been 33% forever. It's got to be less than 30 right now. It's not less than 30. When it goes less than 30, I will make a video immediately because that would be like uber bad. All right. Guys, that was a heck of a live stream. I enjoyed that. You guys are very talkative. I appreciate it. You guys are incredible. What I'm going to do now is wrap the stream, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning on the Bullet Points episode. And don't miss tomorrow evening because I have a special guest that I will have in one of my interview segments that's coming up tomorrow night. So that's going to be incredible. I can't wait to see you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Braden, signing out.